Welcome to the Loveland Report and Lone Ranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland, Central Florida's best real estate planner, alongside Bruce Woodburn,
That's
the Lone
me.
Ranger. And we're going to talk about all your real estate news, all your mortgage news today, what's going on in the market. I've got some top 3 things, Bruce. I want to talk about if you're getting ghosted by buyers. We're past Halloween, but what happens if your buyers canceled your transaction, or you just didn't have any buyers?
You mean you had a
house?
buyer that was interested and then they just
maybe
disappeared?
You got a contract and it got canceled, or maybe nobody's showing your home. I want to dig into holiday sales, what really goes on during November, December around the holidays. And then all these buyouts. You see billboards, you hear ads. There's probably a NASCAR team too with the name on it. And are they really worth it on that? We're going to dig into that. What do you got happening, Bruce?
I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with interest rates since the last Fed cut. What's going to happen in December 10th when we are expecting another Fed cut? And what can we expect coming into the new year? What are interest rates doing and where are the opportunities? What's going on with the government shutdown? How has that impacted mortgage rates and housing? What's happening right now? And I also want to take a look at inventory, because inventory is giving us an indication of where the opportunities are right now.
Yep.
So we want to dive into that. So first thing we can go into is, what are interest rates doing today? Well, we started off at the beginning of November, or the beginning of October, where interest rates were running about 6.3. They dropped to about 6.19, so about 10 basis points lower. Then we had the Fed cut on the 29th of October. Right. Well, we were expecting to get a quarter point, and we got a quarter point. But what we weren't expecting is for Chairman Powell to state that the opportunity for another quarter point cut is a foregone conclusion, and don't expect it because we are dealing with inflation and we are watching inflation closely. Well, inflation scares the crud out of the bond market. They don't like inflation. So as soon as he says that, we literally lose 30 basis points right off the bat.
I swear they've been too late. They've been too soon.
Yeah.
They've been not enough.
There's a lot of things that they are
at messing up. I know. I mean, I had a cousin like that, and I think he's still bumping around Jacksonville, working odd jobs or standing on a street corner. He just does not. It's funny. All the economists, 51, you only got to be right 51% of the time. But I just think I'll be so glad when he's gone.
Well, me too. But at the end of the day, we've got to report what happened.
Yep.
And what happened is where everyone's sitting up there calling me the next day going, oh my God, are rates a quarter a point better?
Yeah.
First of all, rates are not going to get a quarter point better, even if the quarter point was reduced, because mortgages aren't tied to prime rate. They're tied to bonds, the 10 and the 30-year bond market. They have nothing to do with prime rate. So why did interest rates go up instead of down, even though we had a Fed cut?
Money flows out of the bond market into stocks.
Uncertainty. That's exactly what it is. Now, did we lose a lot of ground? No. We ended up with 2 days later, we ended up about 10 basis points worse.
But the important thing is, people talk to you now. Aren't VA and FHA rates in the 5s?
Absolutely.
Depending on where you're at.
Absolutely.
So it depends on, and also let's say my credit score is 680 and I got a lease running out in 2 months or 3 months, and I might not buy till January. You can help me fix my score and raise my score to get a better rate also. So that's why they need to call you and get their application.
And think about this though, on a conventional loan, every 10 points in your score will improve your rate. So Fannie Mae has risk-based pricing, and Freddie Mac, that every 10 points. So a 739 is not as good as a 740.
Okay.
And that could make you more money, and a 749 is not as good as a 750, and so on and so on. Now, FHA and VA don't follow those same risk-based pricing models. So you could have a 630 credit score and get the same interest rate as a 750 credit score on an FHA.
But type of loan, amount of down payment, price point, all these things come into play.
Absolutely.
And that's why they need to sit down with you.
That's why a consultation with somebody that's a human and not a bot could probably do some good.
Yep.
And you know what? We really consult with our clients. We want our clients to understand the market so they don't go in uninformed. They go in and they've got an idea as to what's going on and how to properly negotiate. We go over closing cost concessions versus no closing cost concessions. Is it better for me to get closing costs than to reduce the price? Well, it may be, it may not be.
Yeah.
For most of us, it's a yes. But if you're putting 50% down on a house, does it matter that you're getting your closing costs paid versus your reduction of price?
Probably not.
It really doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yep.
So those are some things that are happening in the market, which in my opinion, allowed buyers to continue to have control. And I want to talk to you about that because I want your opinion on what you're seeing. But when I look at the inventory, and I think we're going to check this, did you get your numbers out for inventory?
I don't have that. We've got the numbers have been about the same for about 6 months, slowly trickling down.
Right.
Hovering in a 5-month supply. Above a 6-month supply, definitely a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Now, this is why this is important. I got to talk to you about your personal market.
Right.
If you got a 3-2 in Deltona that's 1,900 square feet, you're definitely in a buyer's market. You got 100 competitors within 3 miles of you. If you're a 4-3 in Windermere at 2,700 square feet with a pool, you might have 2 around you, and everything sells within 2 weeks. So interpreting that, I just think right now, one of the biggest drags on the market, Bruce, is people, as agents that are uneducated, not knowing how to write up an offer. I've got one of my listings of the day we'll talk about. Great house, great pool. Only thing is the best price pool home around on a half-acre lot within 10 miles of anywhere else. And it's listed for $445 or $443.
How long have you had it on the market?
It's been on the market for 3 weeks, and a person writes an offer for 10% below list price.
Okay.
And then I just asked them, where'd that number come from? Oh, it needs to be painted. Okay, paint's $3,000. And they have there's no basis for the offer.
Right.
And
we'll paint it. What color do you want?
Yeah, exactly. So, and just things like that, that's a drag on the market. It's a good buyer, qualified,
right,
getting bad advice. So, and this leads me to my next thing on, AI. I had a client tell me I had his property up for rent. He goes, well, AI says that it should be at $2,800 a month. I go, well, I got you an application at $3,000 a month. Do you want that?
So do you want the AI to rent it from you, or do you want a human being to rent it from you?
Garbage in, garbage out. And so this is why it's important to sit down. There's all those valuation websites and all those things that talk about your house. They don't know that you've got the best view of anybody.
What's your phone number?
407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com. How about you, Bruce?
Well, you can reach the Loan Arranger whenever you need me for your purchase, your refinance, your home equity line, your reverse mortgage, you name it. I got it. 407-250-9144, 407-250-9144, or go to webringyouhome.com. So you're right now, the last I heard, we had about 3.5 homes on the market for every buyer.
Yeah.
Is that still pretty close to being right?
Well, for what's selling, trouble is half those homes on the market aren't in the market because they're priced way too high.
Well, and then we can't count condos. We got to wipe condos out of the market.
But I think we're selling about 2,500 homes a month. Or actually, last month's sales due contracts was 2,400 new sales in Central Florida.
Okay.
Out of 13,000, what is that? 1/5?
Oh boy,
that's 1/5, 1/6 of what's for sale.
So that tells me, even though the amount of inventory is generally the gauge for whether we are in a buyer's market, a balanced market, or a seller's market, I keep saying that it's behaving more like a buyer's market in most of our subdivisions. Now, granted, I talked to a realtor the other day. He put a house on the market in Lake Nona and he had 3 offers on the first day.
Yeah.
Okay. So Oviedo, same type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. There's certain pockets of the market,
certain price points.
You're going to get your price and you're going to get a buyer. But the average person, I think, is running to where you've got buyer's opportunity. Sellers are going to have to get realistic to attract a buyer, and some of them just aren't.
Yeah. And you got to watch traffic. You got to watch, like I talked about being ghosted by buyers in the month of October. And, I have very few contracts cancel because I do the upfront checking. Is it a good lender? Is it a good offer? Is the buyer, you have all the buyer's documents, or you just got basically a soft credit pull? Tell me what you got. Is it a weak pre-qual letter? I check that. Inspections. My sellers, what's reasonable on inspections? I don't want my seller saying, I'm not fixing anything when he's got a 25-year-old AC and a 30-year-old hot water heater. He needs to fix that. Or a leaky roof. Things like that will stop a deal. Now, buyers, if no buyers at all are coming through your house, there are less buyers out there. There's less foot traffic. But you still got to watch. If you didn't sell, who did? We're still moving. All the 5 Ds are still happening.
You're still on the market. Why are you on the market and somebody else is selling?
Yeah, and somebody else sold. Why was that? Because those buyers have looked. They got all the information on their phone. The real buyers are in the backseat of a realtor's car or meeting the realtor to look at 5 or 10 homes. And they've been looking for a month or 2 or 3, and they are educated as to what's worth 700, what's worth 650, and that crazy guy at 750 who's way too small. So they know all these things. And when they walk into one and go, this checks all the boxes, and I think it's a great price, that's the one that sells with multiple offers or gets very close to list price. And that's what you got to watch on traffic. You've got to react to the market every couple of weeks on your home. Bruce, most homes, whether it's 200,000 or 2 million,
right,
they all get contracts within 3 weeks of either coming on the market or of their last price adjustment. If they're priced right, or their latest price adjustment. I can almost show you almost like a law of physics there. I can show that to you. And that's the market absorption for that type of property. And so I'll see homes that sit 120 days, and my buyer likes that house. It's been at the same price for 4 months. And I'll have a conversation with the realtor about, why is this like that? Do you realize all your neighbors are selling at this price? I'm going to bring you an offer right at this price. It's a great price. My buyer's great. Bruce has him fast tracked. They can close in 2 weeks if we need. And the other agent's like, what do you mean? That's a drag on the market. So,
well, I've talked about this. I don't know how our audience receives this, how well they do, but my opinion is one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't choose the right real estate agent. I really do. And I'm not saying that because Cleve's sitting across from me in the studio. I say that because it's true. It's absolutely true. And when I have a client that comes to me that brings their own agent, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my God, they're leaving money on the table. They're not negotiating properly. They're not They're not really, but yet I love my realtor. They're so nice. And they've been friends with my mom for years. Listen, that can be a problem. You've got the biggest ticket item, and yet you're selecting somebody emotionally.
One of the best gauges is you ask a realtor, what are you going to do for me? And if they don't have a plan, a written marketing plan, a written buyer consultation of how they're going to help you on all the different ways they're going to do it. And experience is one of the best ways. You don't want the med student in residency doing orthoscopic surgery on your knee. You want the guy that's been doing it for 25 years.
Exactly.
And I think, ask them, how many families did you help last year? How many transactions did you close? And if it was, well, it's been really bad since COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Run the other way. So, and
I still hear that.
I do. And I have people, I have an ad out there right now. I'm looking for another agent to join my team, and I will get resumes. And I'm like, I look that person up in MLS and there's no sales. And I'll ask them, oh, well, I was on a team. I'm like, do you have any sales on that team? No. I'm like, all right, well, but I was getting bad leads. I'm like, all right, you're not for us. So it's just, you got to know what you're doing. You got to interview the client, say, what are your needs? What is your wish list? What are your wants? Let's get down to it. Let's get out there and look, and let's be realistic too. Because if I show a buyer 10 homes and I pulled that off their checklist and their price point, and they didn't see what they like, I'm like, all right, we got to fix something, guys. Either we got to wait a little bit. Now the buyers right now, if they wait a little bit, they've been right. Somebody's adjusted their price down, or there may be a new listing entering the market, depending on what area you're in. So, but you got to be realistic at a certain point, because buyers that get drug around for 6 months looking for homes, nobody was done any favors there.
No,
big waste of time and all the stress and all the headaches. So if you don't want to do that, call me, Loveland Properties, 407-352-8118, or go to cleveloveland.com.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break here in just a minute. We got another minute, but I wanted to let you know that Cleve had met with a builder called Hartizen Homes, and he had a great meeting with the builder. The builder loved him. They're doing some business together. We've already got a deal on the table. And Cleve came to me and said, you need to talk to this builder. They need a lender like you. They got a bunch of yahoos out there that are lenders. No, you didn't say that. I made that up. Okay. I made that up, but it was probably,
they needed you. I could tell that.
So anyways, I had a meeting with this builder this week and literally love them. So we're going out and previewing all their communities, but they got communities in like St. Cloud, Eustis. They've got one in DeLand, I think, or Deltona.
DeLand, yep.
So they've got communities, Ocoee, Mount Dora.
Build a great house.
Apopka, and they're building a great house for a really great price. And they have townhomes in the 200s. And you come to Cleve, you come to me, we'll get your closing costs paid with Hartizen Homes. So I like them a lot. I really can't wait to get through a couple of transactions with them, but I really think they're going to do a great job.
Product. Their sales team is great. I enjoy working with the company.
I went in a meeting and the sales team shows up. I know like 5 of them on the sales team.
It's a good product. And right now, new construction is one way to get your rate bought down. You want a fixed rate in the 5s.
All right. Phone number for the Lone Ranger, 407-250-9144. We'll be right back.